Dan Shaw, welcome to the Preconstruction Podcast.
Gareth, it is fantastic to be here in beautiful San Diego.
Love it. How good is it? We were out last night. This is a nice spot.
It is a great spot. So I don't know if you know, I used to live in just up the road in Newport Beach.
Nice.
For a couple of years before I moved back to Chicago. So part of my heart is still in Southern California.
I tell you what, Chicago, very different to Chicago, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a little bit different in Chicago than here, but both are beautiful cities for different reasons, right?
Cool.
So, yeah.
Because last year it was in Denver, and I really enjoyed it. Denver was beautiful, but San Diego was kind of tipped it, I think, so far.
Yep.
Good.
Can't go wrong with SoCal.
And it's busy in there. So let's get to your company, CEO of Bridgeline. Now, before we get into Bridgeline, anyone listening to the podcast, we're going to get into more depth about Bridgeline later on, but I want to kind of set the scene a little bit, and I want to say, what's your background? Before you decided to do a degree, who kind of influenced you in your career? Was it were you always going to get into technology, construction, or what was the thought process?
Yeah, no, so I wasn't always trying to get in construction. I kind of had an interesting journey to construction. So my whole life I don't want to say forced to work, but my parents were very much encouraging their kids to work, and started off as a caddy at the age of 14 at the local golf club, and that's kind of when I knew I wanted to be involved with people or sales in some capacity. It was awesome. 14 years old, making $200 a day, and just kind of seeing like what human interaction can kind of lead to. So. Went through high school, then went to the University of Kansas, was super lucky to be able to go there, got a degree in business. Again, always kind of knew I wanted to do sales and be kind of customer focused, and the business degree made the most sense at that point. I didn't focus on anything, so just a general business degree in business administration, and went to the career fair actually in 2014. I was going through all the companies that were going to be there, and there was an elevator company, Kone Elevator, and they were hiring for a sales class. I'm like, okay, well, elevators can't be cheap, right? And if they're not cheap, then you must be able to make good money selling them, right? So I went and I talked to them, and everyone was going and talking to the big box stores and everything like that, and was lucky enough to get into their sales intake program and kind of learn the elevator trade, where I was selling new construction, so anything from the ground up. So working with architects to design their people flow, selling into general contractors, and developing relationships with ownership groups. So I did that for about a decade in Kansas City, Los Angeles, and then back in Chicago. So
nice. That's
kind of how I got into the built world. I know the elevator industry has a little bit of a stigma as kind of a difficult subcontractor to work with. Now outside looking in, I can definitely see those frustrations, but it was truly a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah,
so.
Brilliant. Loads of learning. And again, you were obviously selling any general contractors, owners, developers. Talk to us then, how did you transition from doing that to being the co-founder or founder of a pre-con tech company?
Yeah. So I became obsessed with what I call the modern AI tools that we're interacting with today, like primarily ChatGPT when it came out. And a big part with me in a very technical sale in elevators, I would get technical questions come into me, and a lot of times I would have to submit a support ticket or send it to engineering, and a week and a half would go by before I get a response, and kind of time kills deals. And I figured this is a great application to modern AI tools. We can do a large language wraparound to technical documents, proprietary documents, support tickets. So I found a developer to kind of put together a proof of concept, and AI was going crazy at that time. So everyone wanted to talk to us. So we were still working our full-time jobs, and they want to see our product. And when they look at it, that's great, but I don't want to buy it. Can AI do this for me? Can AI do this for me? And every time it was it revolved around they're receiving documentation coming in, and then they're paying a high-paid employee a lot of money to sit down, open up these documentations that's not structured at all. It's all in different types of forms, and just move data from the document to the next piece that they need to put the data into. So we kind of built a thesis that using modern AI tools, you can sit between all the stakeholders in the construction industry and automate what we consider manual workflows that weren't able to be automated before. So that's kind of how the light bulb went off. And from there, it was just kind of searching for what's the use case that we enter the market in. And that's kind of how we got off and running.
Wow, that's amazing. So you basically saw an opportunity with AI and then basically a problem on the GC side of things. And if there's estimators, senior estimators, pre-con managers listening to this now, and they haven't heard of Bridgeline, they haven't demoed it. What are the key features that makes their life easier?
Yeah. So kind of going back another step of like we settled on going into the market with what we consider bid leveling automation, and I think a lot of people might roll their eyes in there because bid leveling is such an art and a science. So we said the automation in bid leveling that we want to take care of is the data movement from the subcontractor proposal to the leveling sheet, not the thought process, not making the selections, not asking the questions, not following up with the subcontractors, but the hours that these construction companies and senior engineers spend opening up a PDF proposal, opening up a leveling sheet, whether it's in a cloud-based software or in Excel, and just moving data, contact information, pricing information, what's included, what's excluded, quantities, all of those things. That is now able to be fully automated. And that's where we said, okay, there's a really, really amazing opportunity to enter the market at this point.
Unbelievable. I can imagine an estimator and a pre-construction manager, the hours that's going to save them, and not just within the general contractor, but the relationship with the subs as well. How does it, you mentioned before about it flows both ways, owners, GCs, and subcontractors. How does that all work?
Yeah, so right now we have a very specific point solution for this data transfer for just general contractors, right? But when we think about our vision, right, and where we want to be, kind of taking another step back to where we're going, it's like subcontractors have workflows that are generated when general contractors send them information, and same with architects, and same with consultants, and same with ownership groups. So it's about learning what those workflows are, and then training a model in order to automate it as it sits between them. So when we think about providing value to our subcontractors, it's when they're submitting their proposal, checking it and comparing it against the project documents and saying like, hey, yeah, you have 10 doors in your proposal, but the project requires 15. Do you want to go revisit your number, right? And that's real value add to a subcontractor that we're just starting to explore. But again, right now it's point solution. We just data movement from proposal to leveling sheet.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I can imagine even that the hours saved. So tell me now about Bridgeline. I mean, where are you at in your journey as a company, and what's the next 2 or 3 years look like?
Yeah, great question. So we're a year in of being full-time. So we did 2 years of kind of discovery like startups do. And then when we realized we wanted to enter the market in bid leveling, it's kind of when we raised our first little round of capital. The University of Chicago backed us, and we went out and started building products. We released our first product to the market in August of last year. And that didn't go too well. Our product definitely wasn't ready for the market at that point, and we kind of spent the next couple months after that iterating based on feedback, but got customers and got contracts coming in. So it was one of those things like from a market signal perspective, we kind of knew that we were onto something, and then kind of re-released here at the end of January, and have now gotten to our 10th customer. So when you think about startups, we're still very much in the early stage. But it's a milestone that we're incredibly proud of, and our folks really love our product for the kind of one use case that we're solving.
Even listening to you, I just love the honesty. Like being able to say it didn't go too well. Like you don't hear that often. Like people are less likely to share the failures, but it's so important to have that honesty, that humility, and then get the feedback from the general contractors. How important has it been, and how open have the general contractors been from testing and giving feedback?
Yeah, well, I think the best thing about having general contractors as your customers, they're the most honest and direct kind of customer group that I've ever kind of engaged with. So you know exactly where you need to be. You know exactly where you stand with them for the most part.
That's a construction done to say all
It's the
day,
construction. It's one of the benefits of the construction industry. So
there's no flirting. It's just straight in there.
Yeah, which is great, right? Like you wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, exactly. But even for speed for yourself, like it's real-time feedback and real-time honest feedback.
Yep.
It just allows you to, and because you're young and small and agile, you can move quickly. You can pivot any way.
Yeah, and that's what's really special. Just the speed of iteration. So we'll meet with folks, and they'll say, okay, you know, your couple feature sets out, and the next time we meet them, we've kind of blown past that milestone, and we're able to really move and iterate and develop at speeds that are really you're only able to do that in the startup phase. So that also makes it really exciting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, even last night, and talk to us about the conference. Obviously, is this your first time, obviously, with Bridgeline being at the conference? How valuable is a conference like this where over 1,000 pre-construction estimating professionals come together, share ideas, share pains?
Yeah, well, I realized that we need a booth, so we're here. We're here without a booth. It's kind of our first. It's our first trade show that we're kind of getting accustomed to who's who in the industry. So it's been great. It's kind of crawl, walk, run for us. Next year we'll be back with a booth and kind of standing up there with the great tech companies that are here. And it's been great to get to know kind of who they are and what they're building and all those things. So very, very important to be here and worth every penny.
It's one thing that I see a lot now within general contractors. They are collaborating a lot more. Is it the same within the pre-con tech community? Are the guys in there able to give you some advice, maybe some things that they did wrong or some things that you could kind of steer clear of?
Yeah, no, I would say what I find the most comforting in talking with all of the folks in here is they've all been at the stage that we're at in our journey right now. So talking with Dustin yesterday with Edify and kind of listening to his episode of the podcast, a lot of the things that he went through and growing pains that he went through, especially with Building Connected, I feel right now. And then talking to the Toggle guys and they just kind of their process of getting off the ground. It's one of those misery loves company. So I'm glad we're not the only people going through kind of the growing pains. But
because it's a lonely place, Dan.
It is.
Being an entrepreneur, I mean, you had a really solid job with a lot of good elevator companies. Making that step, risky obviously, but quite daunting.
Yeah, it's very daunting, but you got to kind of not think about it, right? And just kind of trudge through and one day at a time, and you got to keep the vision in mind, but also one step at a time. And really that's kind of how it works.
And coming back to the GCs now, obviously you're almost a year in. What's the feedback been like? Like what are the positives that you're hearing from the market, from the GCs, from the estimators themselves?
Yeah, really. So when we kind of touched on the time savings, right?
Yeah.
So we can grab 150, 200 proposals and we can have them leveled within 10 minutes. Or leveled in the sense of get the data extracted and into a leveling sheet. So we start to calculate time savings there, and we were really, when we were going in, thinking that's our ROI.
Yeah.
Right? When we talk to decision makers and when we talk to these senior estimators, they don't view the ROI the same. They view it as, okay, my risk exposure is lower now. So I now know more things. I now have more visibility into things that are in these proposals, because a lot of times there's scope can be missed, quantities can be missed, quantities can be off, and if you go with the low guy, and it could cost your job a lot of money. So just kind of having a safety net in that capacity of saying, like, have we combed through every single line item and looked at every single potential gotcha that they didn't have time to do before, and then also the ability to kind of bid more jobs with the same amount of people. So think if you're a $50 million a year general contractor with 2 estimators, and you want to get to 100 million, pre-con is it's not billable hours back to the owner, so it's risky to hire more estimating and pre-construction staff. So these folks, especially these smaller to mid-sized general contractors, are like, well, we can be tech-enabled and we can actually go out and compete and grow our businesses like we haven't been able to before. So those are kind of the two kind of like, oh, what we thought was the big ROI is actually, that's a nice to have when we're kind of risk and the ability to do more with less.
Increasing capacity, essentially.
Yep.
And the thing as well about it is, I'm thinking like before Bridgeline, what did estimators do? I'd imagine it's just constantly reading through things and reviewing documents.
Yeah. So a lot of times I would say the status quo with the companies that we interact with were they would send out an invitation to bid, say I need a proposal back in 2 weeks. This is painting with a broad brush here, but then the proposals come in, they open up the proposals and open up either an Excel sheet or a cloud-based estimating tool, and they're just manually moving the data. So it's time-consuming, it's mundane, it's error-prone, but it's something that has to be done in order to get the job done correctly, right? So that's the workflow, and it's still the workflow for most of the folks in the industry today.
Yeah. Brilliant, great idea. Now you touched on a little bit what the future looks like, but obviously being an entrepreneur with Bridgeline, what gets you up in the morning now? What gets you excited coming into work every day? Like what does the next 5-10 years look like?
Yeah. So I mean, we kind of grow out of infancy, kind of in more adulthood in the next 5 years. and we talked about this a little bit beforehand. We think we really win on like network effects, right? So providing value not only to general contractors, but upstream to ownership groups, developers, and then also downstream to the trade partners as well. And that kind of ensures that the product stays sticky and that folks are using it. And value is being provided on both sides, because if there's value only being delivered to one stakeholder, it becomes very hard to get participation from other stakeholders as well.
Yeah, and you hear it all the time. I mean, without the subs or the trade partners, GCs they can't work. They've got to have anything that they can get, whether it be technology, people, to make their subs' life easier. Mm-hmm. I would imagine it'll become a selling tool from the GCs to be able to work with the trade partners that they want to engage with.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's been difficult, I think, in the construction tech market is not only it's hard to make the subs' life a little bit easier, right? But so like you got to then provide value to them. Like, what does value creation mean for the trade partners to actually make them break away from their current workflows, which is incredibly busy, incredibly chaotic, a lot of emails going back and forth, break from that status quo and start using a new technology. And it has to provide tangible value to them. So is there errors and emissions? Am I going to be able to tighten up protect my P&L on projects by catching more things before I have a signed contract? Like those are all things that, in my opinion, would encourage trade partner behavior to
absolutely
interact with the same technology that the general contractors are.
Couldn't agree more. Dan, this has been amazing. Great insight into Bridgeline. Really excited to see it grow. If there is anybody listening to this now thinking, you know what, I'd love to get in touch with Dan, I've got a few questions, or even I want a demo, what's the best place to get you?
Yeah, so I'm Dan at Bridgeline.io. You can go to our website, Bridgeline.io, submit a submission form. Would love to talk to anyone out there and talk shop.
Brilliant, love it.
Great.
And I will put all of that information in the show notes below, folks. I'll put Dan's LinkedIn profile link, the website, and also his email. So hit him up if you're interested in Bridgeline. Dan, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Yep, good to talk.